Two moments. Two families. Same type of life insurance policy. And two completely different endings. The first moment takes place on a random Tuesday afternoon in 2019. A woman named Jennifer is alone in her car in a parking lot, half distracted, doing normal life stuff. Then her phone rings. She answers, and everything changes. The voice on the other end tells her husband has been in an accident. He's alive. He's stable. But he's gone to the hospital. The second moment happens on a Thursday morning in 2021. A man named Marcus is sitting at his kitchen table, holding a letter he didn't expect to matter as much as it does. It's from his insurance company. And the message is cold and simple: your term life policy has expired. Coverage has ended. He's 48 in that moment. He's got a daughter headed toward college. He's got a mother who leans on him. And now, suddenly, he has no life insurance at all. Welcome to Wiseside Life and Legacy. I'm Nakel Nakima, and this is episode 7, Real Stories, when term worked and when it didn't. If you've been with me through the last few episodes, we've been talking about term life insurance in a pretty structured way. Definitions. Term lengths. Riders. Strategy. But today, I want to do something different. Today is about what it feels like when these decisions stop being theoretical. Because numbers can educate you. Frameworks can guide you. But stories? Stories are what actually change how you behave. Stories are what make you pick up the phone. Stories are what make you look for the expiration date instead of assuming you'll get to it later. So I'm going to tell you two stories. They're fictionalized composites based on situations that happen all the time in the life insurance world. Names and details are changed, but the emotional truth is real. Jennifer's story is a success case. Her family hit a moment of fear, and term insurance did exactly what it was supposed to do. More than that. One overlooked feature of the policy gave them options when life got messy. Marcus's story is a warning sign. It's what happens when you treat a term policy like background noise. And it's what it feels like when the window closes, and you realize you needed that policy after it's already gone. Let's start with Jennifer. Jennifer was 32 when she and her husband, David, bought their first house in Atlanta. We're talking 2009, right after the housing market crashed. If you remember that era, you know how strange it felt. Bad headlines everywhere. But for some families, it was also one of those rare moments where a door cracked open. They found a house they could actually afford. David worked as a software engineer. His income was strong and steady. Jennifer was working part-time in marketing, mostly because the bigger job at the time was being a mom. They had 2 kids, Sophie was 6, and Michael was 4. And like a lot of people, David didn't spend months researching life insurance. He spent maybe half an hour thinking about it. Just enough time to feel the weight of it. He knew one thing: if something happened to him, Jennifer would be in trouble. Not just emotionally. Financially. So he bought a term policy. 20-year term. $500,000 of coverage. The premium was $58 a month. And in his mind, the math felt clean. He's 32. 20 years takes him to 52. By then, he assumes the kids will be grown, the mortgage will be mostly handled, and they'll have enough savings built up that insurance won't be as critical. That was the plan. And for a while, the plan looked like it was working. Fast forward to 2019. 10 years have passed. David is 42 now. The policy is halfway done. Life, on paper, is going well. The house has equity. His career moved upward. Jennifer returned to full-time work. The kids aren't little anymore. Sophie is 16. Michael is 14. And if you asked David, he probably would have told you, yep, we're on track. Then Tuesday happens. David is driving home from work when another car hits him. It's serious. Not a little fender bender and a sore neck. This is ambulances and trauma-level attention. He survives. But the injuries are more than scary, they're disruptive. Broken collarbone. Fractured ribs. Damage to his spleen that needs surgery. He spends 4 days in the hospital. Tests. Imaging. Specialists. Pain management. And afterwards, because the body doesn't just bounce back from that, he's in physical therapy. And here's the part people don't always factor into their planning, it's not just the medical bills. Yes, health insurance covers a lot. But it doesn't replace a paycheck. David is out of work for 6 weeks. 6 weeks with no income. Think about what that does to a household, even one that's doing okay. It's not just one missing check, it's the ripple effect. Mortgage still due. Car payments still due. Food. Utilities. Gas. The kids still need what they need. And then you get those medical costs that weren't fully covered. The co-pays, the deductibles, the surprise bills that somehow always show up. Jennifer is running full-time, in every sense of the phrase. She's working her job, managing 2 teenagers, and living in that emotional fog that comes when you're scared but you don't have time to stop. Later, she described a moment in the hospital waiting room that stuck with her. She said something like, "I'm panicking over 6 weeks of lost income." And then the thought hit her, if he had died instead of being injured, I would have received $500,000. Not because $500,000 makes grief easier. It doesn't. But because it would have given her breathing room. Options. Time. And that realization, right there, is where the story turns. Because Jennifer remembered something most people forget. She remembered the policy paperwork. Specifically, she remembered a feature that's often included in term policies but rarely talked about until it's almost too late, the conversion rider. A conversion rider is basically a built-in option. It says that while your term policy is active, you have the right to convert it into a permanent policy without having to go through new medical underwriting. And that phrase, no medical underwriting, sounds technical until you live through something like this. Because after a serious accident, it's not just your life that changes. Your insurability can change. Jennifer didn't want to wait until David was older, with more medical history behind him, hoping he'd still qualify for something affordable. She wanted to lock in protection beyond the original 20-year plan. So she did what a lot of people don't do under pressure, she made a call. She reached out to an independent insurance broker and told the story straight. My husband had a major accident. He's going to recover, but it shook us. We want coverage that lasts beyond this term. What can we do? The broker didn't start by selling a product. He started with one question. Does the term policy include a conversion option? It did. And that one detail changed everything. Instead of David applying for brand new permanent insurance at 42, with a fresh accident on his record, he converted the existing policy. Same death benefit, $500,000. New type of coverage, permanent, specifically universal life. Now, the premium changed. It wasn't $58 a month anymore. It became $185 a month. That's a real jump. And it should be. He's older, and permanent coverage costs more than term. But here's the point, the company couldn't deny him based on the recent accident. They couldn't force him through a new medical gauntlet. They couldn't say, sorry, too risky now. The conversion rider did what it's designed to do. It turned a temporary plan into long-term protection at the exact moment the family realized their life wasn't as predictable as they hoped. And that's why I call Jennifer's story a success. Not because the accident happened. But because when life threw the curveball, the policy had a safety hatch, and they used it before the window closed. Now, I want you to hold on to that feeling, the relief. The sense of having options, because we're about to walk into Marcus's story. And Marcus's story carries a very different emotion. It's not relief. It's regret. Marcus bought term life insurance back in 2001. He was 31 years old. He'd just gotten engaged. He and his fiancée were in that stage of life where everything is forward-looking. Plans, goals, timelines. They were talking about buying a house. Building a life. And Marcus had the thought that a lot of people have right before they buy life insurance: if something happens to me, I don't want the person I love to be left with a financial mess. So he got a policy. 20-year term. $750,000 in coverage. And the premium was $39 a month. Now, if you're listening and thinking $39 sounds cheap, remember where he was in life. When you're 31 and building from scratch, $39 can feel like a real bill. Like something you have to justify. But he did it. He felt responsible. He felt like he'd handled something important. In his head, he ran a similar timeline to David. 20 years of coverage takes him to around 51. By then, he assumes, he'll be fine. Here's the thing about term life that makes people comfortable: it's built on a story we tell ourselves. The story goes like this: I'll need this insurance for this season, and then I won't. Sometimes that story is true. But sometimes, life writes a different script. The years moved. Marcus got married. They bought the house. They had one child, a daughter named Emma. And then, like so many families, they hit economic turbulence. 2008 arrives. The financial crisis smacks the country, and Marcus's wife loses her job for 9 months because her industry gets crushed. Marcus becomes the only income. And during that stretch, he actually feels grateful for that term policy. It's there in the background like a quiet guardrail. They eventually stabilize again. By 2015, they've climbed out. His wife is working again. Emma is in middle school. Life is busy, but steady. And then we reach the moment that matters most in this story. Somewhere around 2020 or 2021, Marcus's policy ends. 20 years have passed. The term is up. At some point, a letter arrives. It says the coverage is over. It tells him he has a limited amount of time, about 60 days, to respond, to explore options, to make a choice. And Marcus does what so many people do with mail that feels inconvenient. He sets it aside. He tells himself he'll deal with it later. He's working. He's managing a family. Emma is in high school now, and if you've ever raised a teenager, you already know how fast life moves. Later never comes. The letter becomes a forgotten piece of paper. And then the window closes. This is one of the most dangerous things about term insurance: when it ends, it doesn't always end with drama. Sometimes it just stops. No alarm. No phone call. No one banging on your door saying, you're about to lose coverage. It's quiet. And because it's quiet, it's easy to ignore. Let's move to 2023. Marcus is 53 years old. Emma is now a freshman in college. That means tuition, living expenses, all the things that come with launching a young adult. And Marcus's mother has moved in with them. She's 82 and showing early signs of dementia. So now Marcus isn't just a dad. He's also a caretaker. Someone needs to be home. Someone has to coordinate appointments. Someone has to manage the unpredictable moments. His wife is working. Marcus is working full-time. And the family depends on his income as much as ever, maybe more. Then one night, he gets chest pain. Not mild discomfort. Not a little indigestion. Serious, persistent pain. His wife drives him to the ER in the middle of the night. And the diagnosis comes back: heart attack. A mild one, the doctors say. He's lucky. He spends 2 days in the hospital. Tests. An angiogram. medications, specialists. And yes, the medical team tells him he should recover. But recovery comes with a new reality. Lifestyle changes. Long-term medication. And something else. A record. A recent cardiac event. And that matters, because it changes how insurance companies see you. When Marcus gets home, he does what he should have done years earlier. He calls an insurance broker. He says, "I had a heart attack, and I need life insurance. I have people who depend on me. I need coverage." And here's where the story tightens. Because the broker doesn't get to say, "No problem, let's set you up like we would for a healthy 53-year-old. The broker has to tell the truth. With a recent heart attack, most standard term companies are going to say no. Some might say yes, but at severely increased pricing, what's often called table rated. Meaning, you're approved, but you pay a lot more because you're considered high risk. And for many people in that situation, the realistic option becomes a guaranteed issue policy. Guaranteed issue means no medical exam, and no health questions that can disqualify you. The trade-off is brutal, the coverage is small, and the cost is high. Marcus ends up with a guaranteed issue plan. Death benefit, $25,000. Premium, about $300 a month. Think about that. Earlier in his life, he had $750,000 of coverage for $39 a month. Now he's paying $300 a month for $25,000. That's not just a different price. That's a different universe. And when Marcus looks back, he realizes the part that's hardest to admit. He didn't lose coverage because term insurance is bad. He lost coverage because he let the decision point pass. He had a letter. He had a time window. He had choices. He could have renewed. He could have converted. He could have applied for a new term policy while he was still healthy. Even if he waited until 51 or 52, there's a good chance he could have gotten a decent policy. Not as cheap as 31 years old, of course, but reasonable. But he didn't. And then the heart attack showed up. And once that happened, the market didn't care that he was a good person or a hard worker or a devoted dad. The market only cared that the risk profile changed. Marcus said something later that really summarizes the whole tragedy of this. He basically said, "If I had converted before it expired, I'd be paying more than $39, sure, but I'd have real coverage. If I had just acted when I got the expiration notice, I could have purchased something while I was still healthy. But I didn't. And now I'm paying way more for way less." That's the sound of regret. And his story is not rare. It's common. It's just usually invisible, because people don't talk about it until after it's painful. So what do we take from these two families? Let's slow down and connect the dots, because the details matter. First lesson, conversion is not a technical footnote. It's not a bonus feature. For many policies, it's the most valuable tool embedded inside term insurance. Jennifer's family had a plan. That plan assumed life would stay relatively smooth until the term ended. Then life got real. And because that conversion option existed, and because they used it before it was too late, they were able to extend coverage without reopening the health conversation. That's the power of conversion. It's a bridge from, "I'm insurable today," to, "I'm covered even if tomorrow changes." Second lesson, expiration is not just a date. It's a decision point. Marcus treated the end of his term like something that happened to him, not like something he needed to choose. The letter arrived, and in his mind it was a problem for later. But later is not a strategy. Term insurance doesn't care about later. And once the term is over, your options shrink. You might be able to renew, but renewal often gets expensive fast. You might be able to convert, but conversion has deadlines. You might be able to apply for a new term policy, but that depends entirely on your health at that moment. And if your health changes, that door can slam. Third lesson, the guide matters. Jennifer had an independent broker involved at the moment of action. When she called, the broker knew what question to ask. Not, how much insurance do you want? Not, what's your budget? But, do you have conversion? That question is the difference between being boxed in and having options. Marcus didn't have anyone walking alongside him in 2001. He made the purchase, and then the policy just sat in his life like a dusty folder. And when the complicated moment arrived 20 years later, there was no one reminding him that the clock was real. Fourth lesson, surviving a health crisis doesn't erase the consequences. Both David and Marcus survived. That's a blessing. But their insurability didn't remain equal. David's family used the policy's built-in option to secure long-term coverage. Marcus tried to fix the gap after his heart attack, and the market offered him a very limited, very expensive solution. Same product category, term life. Different outcomes. Not because one family was smarter, but because one family acted while options were still available. Here's the line I want you to keep. Term life insurance is not a set-it-and-forget-it purchase. It's timed protection. And inside that timeline are moments that require a decision. Decision point number 1 is before you buy. You ask, what term length actually matches my obligations? Mortgage. Kids. Income replacement. Debt. Decision point number 2 is somewhere along the way. You check in and ask, does my life still match what I planned back then? Do I still need the same amount? Do I need coverage longer than I thought? And decision point number 3 is the expiration. When the term ends, you don't just shrug. You choose. You can let it lapse. You can renew. You can convert. All 3 can be valid choices if you pick them on purpose. The danger is not choosing. The danger is pretending the decision isn't happening. Because if you ignore that expiration, you're not avoiding a decision. You're making one by default. And default decisions often come with the worst price tag. So here's your action step this week. If you have a term policy, find it. Open the document or log into the portal. Look for the expiration date. If it's more than 3 years away, good. You've got breathing room. But don't waste it. Put a reminder on your calendar for 2 years before that expiration date. That's your signal to review options while options still exist. If your policy ends in less than 3 years, don't wait. Make the call now. Talk to your broker. Ask about conversion. Ask about renewal. Ask about replacing it with a new term policy while you're still eligible. Because the worst moment to realize your policy is ending is after it already ended. I'm Nakel Nakima, and this has been Wiseside Life and Legacy. Educate. Empower. Protect your legacy. We'll see you next week.